All right, I actually remembered to click record before we got started today, so that's a good sign. Can't forget it last week. Okay, let's start off cross-legged and take a second just in case anybody's straggling behind, but also getting our own mind right. You can close your eyes. Oh, Lord, my feet stink. I'm going to slow it down. I don't know how y'all's morning has been. Mine's been a little bit hectic. So remember, we're using this time to decompress, leave all the busy stuff outside, tell the grandkids to shut up or whatever. Wiggle around, fix up whatever you need to. You can fix your clothes or your hair, or butt sitting kind of funny on the mat, adjust that, whatever. And we're gonna take a big breath in. Let's lift the chin. I feel like we're also lifting through the chest, kind of pull the shoulders back, little arch of the spine. Breathing in, we're gonna exhale. Let's rock the fingertips forward, fold it over. Let those shoulders start to sink. Inhale, draw it on up. Let's take those hands, place them behind you. Once again, opening up. You don't have to lift your chin as high unless you want to. Yawn it out, whatever. Pulling those shoulders back, pulling that chest open. One more big breath in. Exhale, fold it forward. Walk those fingers out a little bit further than before. Okay, we're gonna inhale. Let's bring it on up. Let's send the leg out to the side. So try to keep your belly button kind of pointed to the front. Nice and easy. We're gonna take one hand and stretch it down toward that extended leg. Inhale, draw it on up. Give it a rest for a sec. Let's place a hand behind us and then rotate away. Just nice and easy. And then one more time, we're going to turn back toward that leg. Let's reach both hands. So it didn't occur to me before, but if anybody has slow or lagging internet and you missed the part where I give the instructions, on occasion, you might just want to glance up every now and then and make sure you're in the right spot. You're not holding some stretch for some obscene amount of time. Okay, we're going to inhale. Let's draw up. We're going to flip the feet over the other way. The joys of living in the country. Okay, so one arm is going to stretch out toward that extended leg. So nice and easy first. So you might feel this in different places, like maybe behind the leg or in the groin. I actually usually feel this in my lower back here on the side. Big breath in. We're going to relax for a sec. Place that hand on top of the thigh, little twist. Breaths. And we're going to return and let's send it over with both hands this time. Nice big stretch all the way up into the back. One more breath in. And we're gonna breathe it out. Come on up, bring both feet in again, just maybe cobbler position. Take a second and massage through the feet. Just make sure the bottom of your little plantar fascia there is nice and warm before we get into stretching it. That could be something to consider if we get into positions in class that tend to bug you, or like you feel extra tight, like it is not really comfortable to get in those positions in class. Could be an idea to maybe warm that part of your body up before we get started. So in this case, if you have plantar fasciitis and doing the foot stretches actually hurts you, getting your feet a little bit warm by stretching them first might be a good option. That way the stretches are more beneficial for you. All right, so we're gonna come on up and let's go on to hands and knees. Okay, we're gonna tuck the toes under and give the bottom of the feet a little bit of a stretch. So walk the hands forward just a little bit, and then we're going to saw the body forward and back. So we're kind of trying to keep the spine and the tailbone as parallel to the floor as we can, sort of, until you get so far. And keeping those toes pulled back to get a big stretch on the bottom of the feet, and you might even feel it into the ankles. And remember, you're just working through the range that works for you. So you don't have to sit all the way back if it's gonna bug your hips or your knees. Let's do one more pass, forward and back. Wow, my hair, okay. I had a bright idea to tie my hair. Now it's just making big frumpy things on my head. Okay, so we're gonna set the feet flat, bring the big toes together. Let's extend out nice and long, stretch out an extended child's pose. Give us 2 more deep breaths, kind of opening through the middle part of the thighs. We're going to do some hip stretches today. We're going to inhale and come up. Let's bring the knees in just a little bit. Give yourself a sec and some room, and move one foot forward on the mat. So that way you have lots of space between that foot and your back knee. We're going to nice and passively just settle into that stretch. Yep, so hands on the inside of your front foot, kind of opening through your hip flexors. Nothing too fancy. And you might feel that if you turn your hips more one way or the other, it feels a little bit different. So maybe more on the inside of your hip flexors or more on the outside, depending on where your hips face. Okay, we're gonna bring the hips back, bring that leg back, give your wrists a rest if you need it for a second, because we're gonna be on the wrist a couple more times before we end this out. We're gonna be switching feet. So you want your other foot to end up in front of you. We're gonna do that same passive stretch. So foot's gonna go down on the mat, Hands on the inside of your front foot, and we're stretching out through the hips. Couple more breaths. So I'm going to bring the weight back, pull that foot in, big toes together again, knees out wide. One more time, extended child's pose. Relax those wrists. Two more deep breaths. Okay, so now we're going to come up out of this position and into tabletop again. This time we're going through cat and cow. So hands underneath your shoulders, knees under your hips. Make sure you've got enough space between your knees. We're going to inhale, arch to the spine, lift your forehead and your tailbone. And then exhale to round, pushing up and away from the floor. Again, we're inhaling. When you're ready, arch through the spine. Make sure the shoulder blades are pulling down and back, so shoulders kind of down from the ears, and the shoulder blades will tuck together a little bit. Big breath in, exhale to round, pushing up and away. Okay, we're gonna walk the hands forward a little bit. Let's bring one knee up. This time, settle it down into the pigeon. So one foot is gonna go to the inside, other leg kind of stays stretched out behind. If you don't feel like you can do this for whatever reason, you can either bend or have your leg like this if you have to. Okay, so we're working on setting up nice and tall first. Back leg is kind of turned down if you can help it. Yep, so top of that foot, top of the knees pressing down. We're sitting up tall. You can also have a feeling like you're actively pushing the top of your back foot into the ground, almost like you're gonna lift this knee. And that might make you feel more like this muscle gets engaged and it'll stretch more up here. A long chain of events. But basically, push down with your leg and you'll feel more of a stretch here. Okay, inhale. As you exhale, we're going to fold it over that front leg and relax those wrists. We're trying, if you can, to settle your chest over the middle part of the inside of your thigh. So middle of your knee is kind of in the middle of your chest. Okay, let's breathe in, draw up. We're gonna do the same on the other side. I'm just gonna flip around for the sake of what you're seeing, but kind of same idea. If you wanna come up into tabletop again, it'd be the same thing. You're gonna draw your knee forward and then allow your feet to settle off on one side. I'm gonna give you a second to get there. So remember, your front foot should come to the inside. Back leg can either bend like 90-90 or it can stay nice and straight. And then if you try to turn the top of your foot or the top of your knee down to the mat, it adds a little extra stretch. So we're gonna sit up tall for a moment. And you might already start feeling that there's stretching going on through the hips. So maybe through that front hip, or as you're pushing that back foot into the floor, you might start feeling some stuff up here. Give this one a couple more breaths. Awesome, and then we're gonna settle it down and over. Settling that chest down on top of the inside of your knee. Two more breaths. Been too hot. Okay, let's bring it on up. All right, so now we're gonna bring that leg up off the floor. Give your hips a little wriggle or wiggle or whatever for a second here. We're gonna make our forward lunge a little bit more complicated. So the lunge that we did at the beginning, you're gonna bring one foot forward, but this time we're gonna leave one arm down. So if I got my left leg in front, right arm is gonna stay down on the mat. We're gonna start lifting through the chest. And I've actually got my arm kind of on the outside of my foot here because I'm gonna be picking it up off the floor momentarily. So nice and strong through that opposite side hand. And then we're working on taking that arm off the floor. And if you're more comfortable, you can start to twist. And just feel super, super comfortable. I mean, like you're gonna fall asleep here. Couple more breaths. Awesome, we're gonna settle that hand down. Let's bring that leg back. We're gonna go in downward dog for a sec. So curling those toes under. When you're ready, we're gonna exhale, lift the hips up and back. Big stretch. Settling those heels down so you can stretch through the calves. Now we're gonna bring the other leg forward, so hopefully you didn't lose track. Other leg in front, drop the knee down, and bring that foot way up there. That way it stays in line with your shoulders. So foot's gonna be way up here by your shoulders. We're gonna actually put that front side arm on the outside of your leg for a sec. We're getting a little lift in the chest. That way our spine is nice and supported. We're gonna take that arm, stretch it up off of the mat, out to the side. Make sure that you can hold your balance. And then if you want to take it a step further, you can start to rotate. And become really proud of yourself. Two more breaths. Awesome, we're gonna settle that hand down. Send that leg back. One more time into downward dog, but we're gonna be standing up after this. So hands down, bring those hips up. Pull your weight back off of your wrists so they start to stretch and, straighten out more. Weight back. We're gonna meet in a standing posture. When you're ready, you can stand up. Walk those feet forward. Walk your hands back. I'm gonna have to adjust my camera because I forgot to do that at the beginning. Whoopsies. Sorry. Okay, maybe you can see my head for a second here. Okay, feet and shoulder width wide. Let's bring those hands behind your back. You should be able to just follow me wherever I go. Okay, find your back. Little lift through the chest. Big breath in, we're gonna soften the knees. Exhale, push the hips back as if you're pushing the hips back into the hands. You're gonna feel like you're a little bit more limited, like your hamstrings get pretty tight and you can't keep going very easily with your back flat, that's fine. Hold there for a sec and then you can start to release those shoulders, let the hands go, stretch them down toward the ground. Inhale, knees forward slightly, bring the chest up, shoulder blades in, back nice and flat. I did that kind of weird, but anyway, back flat. Take breath in, exhale, hands down. This time, knees forward, hips forward. We're gonna bring the hands all the way up overhead. Big stretch back. Trying to make almost a standing crescent moon shape from your heels up through your hips, through your shoulders, and to your fingertips. So fingertips are reaching way back. Turn to the side, big breath in, exhale, and big circle through the arms. Inhale and hands up. Stretching back. Turn to the other side, exhale and turn. Again, recentering, inhale, hands up, and turn so that you can actually hear me. Turn to the side, big circle through the arms, exhale down. Once more, inhale. Turn to the side, exhaling down. All right, a little bit more of a tough one before we end out. Just find some stable footing. So if you can do it on your mat and endure the squishiness, then fine. If you might need to step off your mat though. We're gonna spread out the toes of one foot. Plant those foot fingers down into the mat. Bring that opposite foot in and make your base a little bit smaller. Okay, so then we're gonna actually move back slightly. Hands are gonna come up. We're gonna walk that foot back little bits at a time. Start to hinge through the hips, so start to lean over. And as you feel comfortable, see if you can lift that back foot up off of the ground. Just hovering, trying to keep that lift through the thumbs, so hands are pushing back, kind of falling over. Hands are pushing back. Try to pick out one spot on the floor. Back is nice and strong. One more big breath in. Exhale, bring the arms down, lower that leg down. Remember the balance ones, it's good to practice those on your own so you don't feel like you're gonna fall over while you're trying to do it in the middle of a class. So spread your toes on the mat, press them down. We're gonna bring the opposite foot in, making our base a little bit smaller. Hands are gonna go up. We're gonna start to inch that foot back just a little bit. Now we're starting to hinge at the hips, folding over. And then as you get comfortable, you'll lift that foot off of the ground, off the mat. Taking a couple breaths. Keep those thumbs lifted, big open feeling through the chest. Like you're still holding the beach ball over your head. One more big breath in. We'll exhale, pull the hands down, bring that foot in. Awesome. All right, go ahead and settle down on the mat on your back. Okay, take those hands, send them off to the side. Nice and open through the chest. You can bring the feet up, so like you're sitting in a chair, knees and hips at 90 degrees. Just rock a little side to side. If you want to turn and settle the knees and the legs all the way down to the floor next to you on the mat, that works too. Just go as far as you like. Okay, we're gonna settle those feet down. You can send your legs out nice and long if you'd like. Bring your hands in wherever's comfortable. We got our last couple minutes just to rest and breathe. We're gonna lay here for another moment or so. Might want to start wiggling some things out or stretching out whatever we missed. Well, thanks guys for coming and hanging out with us. We're gonna be here again on Wednesday and for the foreseeable future. So y'all have a great rest of your week, and don't forget to practice your balance poses so you don't fall over like I did like 5 times. Y'all have a great rest of your day.